Have you ever wondered why porn makes you feel so good when you're consuming it, and then why you feel so bad later on in your life? Or maybe you've never even connected those two dots. I know that so many people don't understand the connection between their porn use and their anxiety, depression, and erectile dysfunction. So if you want to break that down, I'm glad you're back. That's exactly what we're going to do today. Thank you for joining me, your hostess with the mostest, Dr. Trish Leigh, back for another episode of the podcast. We're going to dive into the neuroscience behind porn addiction and, more importantly, what you can do to feel good in your own life. You might remember the song. He's the one they call Dr. Feelgood. He's the one that makes you feel all right. Well, I used to rock out to that Motley Crue song in 1991. It was my jam, baby. But what I didn't know back then when I was a teenager is that it's actually about a doctor who worked with celebrities and high executive people back in the 1970s. They called him Dr. Feelgood in the FBI and the government because he worked with JFK, and they didn't want to name him by name, but they called him Dr. Feelgood. And supposedly, back then, he was administering vitamin shots to boost President Kennedy's system and these other celebrities that he worked with. I know what you're thinking. They weren't vitamin shots at all. You are right. What they were drugs. And it was a way that JFK and these other celebrities could boost their system in the day to improve their focus, to help them feel calmer, to stay engaged. But then they would have to use other drugs at night to help them relax and be able to sleep. What this is neurological regulation from without, from outside of your brain and your body, going to something else to help you feel better up in the day, feel good at night, bringing the system down. But what I want for you is that you can regulate yourself from within, using your brain primarily to increase your energy and then to decrease it with healthy circadian rhythms. Now, before we keep going, I want to remind you this podcast is part of my outreach program. It is sponsored by pornbrainprevention.org, the nonprofit organization that I founded so that together we can go upstream and help teenagers never struggle with porn addiction. Unfortunately, many of them already are. So if you want to join the crusade, donate, please. Help me so that we can help kids avoid the devastation of porn. All right, so let's get back to how do you regulate from within? First, let's talk about what porn does to make you feel good in the moments that you're consuming porn. The first thing that it does is that when your brain is conditioned from a young age, probably from when you were a kiddo or an adolescent, to click the button and feel that rush of dopamine in the system, what happens is you're conditioned to click the button for pleasure, to feel good. Dopamine is called the feel-good chemicals in the brain. It's associated with more motivation and pleasure. And you know what that means. More, motivated back for more pleasure from porn. So this is how you get hooked on porn. It's a super normal stimulus that keeps you coming back for more. This is why you feel so good when you're consuming porn. It's the dopamine deluge, the dopamine drowning. But after you're drowned out, guess what happens? It's the drought, the dopamine drought back in your real life. You no longer feel good in your life. You no longer feel healthy, real world pleasure. It's all about the dopamine from the screen. I want you to leave the screen so you can get back to rocking out your best life on purpose and feeling so charged up and fantastic, feeling good from your work, your purpose, your people, your relationships, and your hobbies, the cool things that you used to love to do, hopefully you will love to do again, like playing guitar, like taking a walk, like gardening, like hitting the beach, like this girl is going to do. So I want you jazzed up about your real life and no longer linked to the dopamine in the screen. But that's why you feel good while you're watching and you don't feel good when you're not. Dopamine drought. It's a deficit state. So, how do you balance this out? You have to stay out of the screen because if not, your brain will keep going around and around that merry-go-round of the cycle of dopamine, the 4D cycle. Dopamine drip, leads you towards the screen. Dopamine deluge keeps you there. Dopamine drowning makes you feel numb. Dopamine deficit in your life makes you angry, irritable, anxious, depressed, gives you ED or sexual arousal dysfunction. Sad. So, you know what that does? Now you can't be with your partner. Now you don't want to be with your partner. It's stressing you out. You probably don't even find your partner as attractive as you used to. You have self esteem issues because of this whole thing, which pushes you back into more porn. It's drastic. We are at DEFCON levels with the red warning lights and bells sounding. If this is happening to you, you're stuck in the pendulum effect, the wired and tired strain brain pattern that pushes you back in for more. If you have significant ED, you've probably tipped over into what I call drain brain. You're stuck in artificial neutral. You've hit that easy button way too many times that you've completely desensitized those dopamine receptors in your brain. Now you can't be aroused at all when it comes to sexual experience with a partner. This is bad news. This is an exacerbation of the strain brain that you've been experiencing for years or decades. But let's get to the good news part, right? I hear you, lady. It's all bad news. Let's get to the good news part. Well, I want you to feel good in your real life. This is how you do it. You have to make a pivot plan to stay away from porn. You have to double down on it in the first 2 weeks because you may experience withdrawal symptoms. The urges, the cravings, they will try to push you back in. That hijacker is going to try to convince you there's no way you can quit. I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. You're like Luke Skywalker. Did he succeed? Yes, he did. But did he need Yoda's help? Yes, he did. I'm your Yoda, my friend. I got you. So you have to make your pivot plan. One way you can get started really easily is with my new book, Mind Over Explicit Matter. It was the #1 best-selling book in its category. It was above Your Brain on Porn when it was released, which is really special to me. With Gary Wilson's passing, it's a mission of mine to pick up where he left off. So get the book because Gary Wilson in Your Brain on Porn, he shed the spotlight on the problems and the devastation because of porn use. This book has 55 brain hack strategies and all the theory and all the knowledge you need to know to leave porn behind. It's based on my digital program, Porn Free Brain Forever, which I've added Pleasure Pathways Reset to. It teaches you about QEEG brain mapping so you can see the dysfunction in your brain, and it teaches you about the power of neuromodulation, especially using neuroscience advanced technology, neurofeedback. Get the book. You can get it at any book retailer and get it soon because it's selling like hotcakes, thankfully, because I'm on a mission to help the world and I don't want you to miss out. In that formula, it teaches you how to make a pivot plan, how you can stay away, how you can double down, because in those first 2 weeks, it's not about time, it's about what you do. The more you do, the less withdrawals. The less withdrawals, the more you succeed quickly. You don't go up and down, up and down. You just go up and you avoid the downs. You can avoid relapse completely if you double down on the techniques and the tools in the book. Get the book and go for it. What it'll teach you is to regulate from within. When something stressful happens outside of yourself in your environment, you got it. You can handle it. Your brain's going to be stable and organized. You're going to be able to have the tools so that when you're challenged emotionally, you now have new skills. I tell my clients all the time, not only are we training your brain to work better, we're skill building here. You have to build emotional regulation skills. #1, to be able to deal with stressors. Of course, I want you to have less stressors overall. So that's another goal, but to be able to deal with them when they come your way. In the last episode of the podcast, we talked about relationships. If you're caught in, being caught watching porn or caught up in unwanted sexual behaviors, likely there's a rupture in your relationship. It puts a lot of strain on not only your brain, keeping that strained brain going, but your life. And there's a whole chapter in there on how you can rewire your relationship. It's imperative that you start with your brain, then you start with your own emotional regulation skills. And when you show up as a healthier version of yourself, now it's time to repair the rupture in your relationship. But you need a plan. And the more you do, the more successful you will be. So before we wrap up, this is what I want you to know. You don't need Dr. Feelgood. You can create that on the inside in a healthy way. Dr. Feelgood gave vitamin shots. When you use vitamins or supplements, what that does, it enhances the healthy function of your brain and your nervous system. Porn is not doing that. That's why Dr. Feelgood got busted, because they weren't vitamin shots at all. They were drugs. Porn use is an internalized drug addiction. Hear me on that. We know that not only is there dopamine, but there are opioid molecules. You will read about it in Mind Over Explicit Matter. You're numbing your pain with porn too, but it's not vitamin shot at all. It's an internalized drug addiction. It's keeping you hooked. But you can enhance your brain performance and get yourself unhooked. That's what we're talking about here today. You can do it. You will do it if you want to. And I will help you. I can be your Yoda. So get the book and realize you can internalize the feel good feelings and you can deal with the difficult ones. All you need is a plan and some help. All right. Thanks for joining me again. And as always, control your brain or it'll control you. I'll see you next time.